Welcome back to our recipe project. Today we are going to be adding some CSS rules that we've learned so far within this lesson and applying them to our project just to make this page look a little bit better. So you can see here is what it currently looks like. It's a bit bare bones. We've just got our text, some images, and let's say we make this look a little bit better. So the first thing we need to do, of course, is to add a style section within our HTML. And the first thing I'm going to focus on within that style section is this nav bar here. I think that looks a little bit 90s web, the blue links on the white background, and I think it would look better. Let's add a background color. So I need to add a new rule here within my CSS for the nav section, and we're going to give it the background element with, I don't know, we'll call it be like a nice light green. See if that looks very good. Well, it looks okay. We'll stick with that. But what I don't like is that it extends across the page. You can see here in full screen it looks a bit weird because everything else is here on the left and this is going all the way across. So what we'll do to remedy that is just add a simple width attribute here, and we'll call that, I don't know, 20 EM. So that's about the width of 20 M's given the standard font size that we're using. And yeah, it looks a little bit better. It's kind of more contained within the same space as everything else. And the next thing that I'm going to fix is these images. So if you look, the edge of these images is kind of off with the other ones. You know, this is a little bit skinnier than this one, which is in turn wider than this one. It would be better if all of our images just had a consistent width to them. So let's add a new rule for our images. And we'll give that a width of, well, I don't know, we'll call it 250 pixels. And we'll see how that looks. Okay, so everything's a little bit smaller. I want them to look bigger. So we're gonna say, I don't know, 400. That's a bit better. Looks good. And now you can see they're all consistent widths. It looks a little bit more cohesive with the rest of things. But one thing I don't like is everything is kind of on the left side of the page here, and it's all very kind of flush with the side of the page. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of move it to the right a little bit using the margin attribute in CSS. So everything that we want to touch is contained within their own specific articles. So what we're going to do is add a new rule for our articles, and we'll say that the margin, and we only really care about the left side, so we'll say margin left. Good standard distance is maybe 40 pixels, maybe 50. We'll see how that looks and play around with it. Yeah, that's a bit better. You can see that only the things contained within articles are changed here, so it kind of gives our page a nice sort of a nice organization where this stuff is separated from this stuff. And if we're gonna change anything else, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this my favorite recipes text here. I think I could use a background and maybe we could center it too, just to make it stand out a little bit better and make it look a little, pop out a little bit more, shall we say. So we'll add a new rule for our H1, and as always we'll add a background. Now we could do pretty much anything we want. I'm very partial to Alice blue, which is kind of like a very, very subtle blue. It's more like a white, really. Or maybe a lavender. But actually, to illustrate one of the cool things you can do in CSS, I'm actually just gonna use a hexadecimal code here. So FFFFF is just white, but as you can see, we can just kind of change some things around, and it'll make something more interesting. As you can see, this is a yellow. VS Code is nice because we have this handy selector here. So let's say I want to be more in keeping with the green theme, so I can pick something. That's nice. It's like a good tasteful forest green. And it's automatically populated this hexadecimal field for our background color. Wow, that's not too bad. But again, I want to center it. So we'll go back in here and add a text align. Missing a semicolon. Typical. Extra T. Typical. That's better. So now we have this cool header. It has our title text, has a nice background color. And yeah, everything looks a little bit better than it did. Got some more personality to this page. Obviously it's a work in progress, so I encourage you to experiment with your own project and see what you can make.